Hello and welcome to the Lighthouse. I'm Lightkeeper Sedinako. Last week, you were asked to find a guided grounding meditation that can just help you center and ground out your energy. So the next step is understanding yourself. It's actually quite common in spiritual warfare that we believe there's a metaphysical attack coming, and it's actually just our own minds trying to make sense of the things that we're going through. Perhaps somewhere deep inside a person, they may even feel that they deserve to be punished for something. True or not, it will manifest as misfortune or even psychological and or physiological responses to stress that they've built up within themselves. Now, a number of meditations can accompany this arena, including body awareness, but I'm going to choose to focus this short series on locutions. It's a funny word, isn't it? It's actually a descriptive word used by Saint Teresa of Avila to describe the phenomena of hearing voices. It was her experience that many women were persecuted by the church because they claimed to hear voices of God. So in her work, The Interior Castle, Teresa accounted for 3 different types of locutions. Those from the devil, those from God, and those developed from sickness. A large chunk of these she regulated to the latter. Now, some might resent her for it, but in truth, it helped save a lot of women from the church's error. So, for much of my early Jedi days, locutions was actually a major fascination for me, though most of you probably don't know that, even if you knew me back then, because I didn't really come out publicly about it. In the community, in the Force Realist community, and in the pagan community, I've encountered many people which have had issues with locutions and those that have had really healthy relationships with them. So it kind of became something that I wanted to know more about. What's the difference between the two? Now, science or psychologists, there are studies out there, have suggested that one is simply a matter of who is spiritually inclined, and those that have a mental health illness, and they're very much into the scientific world. Like, they've been indoctrinated from the beginning that science is everything. It's psychology and sociology, soft science. People that come up with these theories, well, we can argue it here or there. It's just a theory. So, moving on from the theory. That is a theory that exists. So anyways, it hasn't actually been my experience that this is the case. Like, I've met people who function normally in everyday life. They don't do anything weird. They've never been diagnosed with a mental health problem. And they still have these 2 different sides. They have healthy and they have unhealthy relationships with these locutions. So what I found is that the major difference is the relationship developed with the locution. That is, those that knew themselves well enough to discern their voice from a voice which didn't sound anything like them would be the average. The voices they didn't associate with themselves, what the determining factor was the boundaries they gave them. If they gave them healthy boundaries, then they had great experiences with their locutions. If they didn't give them healthy boundaries, everything started to fall apart. So, incidentally, these exercises are aimed so that you can develop a better understanding of your own voice and use that to discern things like the will of the Force that you wish to align with. Beings maybe you hear in the Force, like if you're out ghost hunting and you want to talk to a ghost, then this would help you determine the difference between what you're making up in your head and the ghost that you're talking to. So we have to start somewhere, though. And where you start is taking a few minutes before you start this meditation, writing down some things about what was going on in your life at the time. Things that were bugging you, things that maybe made you happy, or even if you just went on a run. Just small things that will help you recall what the day was when you return to these notes in the future, because you're going to return to these notes at least 3 more times. Now, for the meditation itself, you're going to start with grounding. and have a timer set for 5 minutes afterwards. So if you know that it's going to take you 4 minutes to ground, then set your timer for 9. After that, during the 5 minutes, you're just going to let the voices and images in your head run wild. Just keep going, let them go, and then you're going to try and retain each thought. Maybe you can't get them all, just get as many as you can and retain them. After you're done, write them down, right? So, like, if you heard, your life sucks. If you saw a deer, if you heard something like, let the force be your guide, or people at work are annoying. That's the word, annoying. People at work are annoying. Then just write them down. And after that, don't take any time to really think. But we're going to do this over the next couple of weeks. Don't take any real time to think about what is what. Just think, which are the ones that I believe fit into which category? And you're going to have 3 categories. So the first one is, this is definitely my own thoughts. The middle one is, I'm not really sure where that thought came from. Now, if you heard, like, let the force be your guide, and somebody had told you that earlier in the day, go ahead and put it in unsure. If you heard the voice of someone telling you that people at work are annoying, and like you had actually had that conversation with somebody earlier that day, put it in the middle. Just put it in the middle. Okay, so then you're going to have thoughts from the force. So, like, these were things that I just jotted down and came up with on the fly. So, like, you think, I don't know, I'm just going to say a deer. A deer was here. And that was my spirit guide. It's not my spirit guide. But the deer, you can just say the deer was thoughts that came from the force itself. Now, what this means, that is, you believe that you heard somebody saying something in the force. It could be a real human. You could believe that I sent you a message in the force, and then you would put it right there underneath that one. If you believe that it was a deity talking to you, you would put it underneath there. If you thought it was a ghost, you put it under that one. Just whichever one comes to mind. So write these all down. Keep the notebook, because I don't want you throwing away anything from these exercises. You have to keep this notebook in order to do the other exercises as we continue to go. So, yeah. All right. I guess that's all I really have for this week. Thank you for stopping by the Jedi's Lighthouse. I'll see you next time.